What if Jesus left behind one final teaching, not for the crowds on the mount, not for the public synagogues, not for the churches that would later rise in his name and build empires on his words, but only for a small, terrifyingly secret circle of initiates? A teaching so powerful, so destabilizing to the structure of reality, that the early church buried it for nearly 2,000 years. Hidden inside the Gospel of Philippi text, hunted by bishops and burned by emperors, is the last layer of Jesus' inner mystery. It reveals the precise method to escape the illusion of this world and return to the wholeness humanity lost in the fall. At the center of this forgotten teaching is something called the Bridal Chamber. It is a phrase most people misunderstand entirely. It has nothing to do with earthly marriage. It has nothing to do with sex, romance, or human partnership. Instead, it describes the reunion of your divided self, the restoration of the unity with your divine angel that Jesus said humanity lost the moment it entered this density. Jesus taught openly in parables, but privately in mysteries. And according to Philip, this mystery, the bridal chamber, was the highest of them all. The apex, the final door. So why were you never taught this? Why did no one tell you that Jesus spoke not only of external salvation, but of an internal alchemical wedding? Because once you remember what this world made you forget, you stop playing the role assigned to you by the Matrix. You stop being a sheep. You become a lion. Tonight, we open the door to the chamber. To understand the bridal chamber, you have to step back into the world Jesus actually lived in. Forget the sanitized Sunday school version. The first century was a spiritual war zone. It was far more diverse, turbulent, and experimentally dangerous than the polished narrative we hear today. Early followers of Jesus were not united by dogma. They were united by a search, a living, burning desire to understand what the Master was really teaching beneath the surface of his riddles. Some teachings Jesus spoke publicly to the fishermen and farmers' basic ethics, love your neighbor, but others he gave only in private to Philip, Thomas, and Mary Magdalene. By the 2nd century, the group later called the Gnostics held the missing key, the piece that made the rest of the puzzle make sense. While orthodox factions emphasized obedience, hierarchy, and external ritual paid the priest, obey the bishop, the Gnostics emphasized something far more threatening to institutional control. The divine is already within you. Salvation wasn't granted from outside. It was remembered. The Gospel of Philip emerges from this atmosphere of high initiation. It is not a biography, it is a manual, a set of codes designed to trigger an awakening in the reader. Mainstream Christianity speaks of 3 sacraments: baptism, chrism, and Eucharist. But Philip lists 5, and he places the bridal chamber at the very top. This was the culmination of the entire spiritual path, the moment when the divided self becomes whole again. So why the secrecy? Because if the union is internal, then no institution can act as a middleman between you and God. And for an emerging empire, that idea was a death sentence. Before you can enter the bridal chamber, you must understand why it exists. You must understand the primordial split. The Gospel of Philip preserves a teaching Jesus gave privately. The deepest wound you carry did not begin in childhood. It did not begin with trauma. It began when your soul entered this world. Jesus taught that when a spirit descends from the higher realms, Philip calls the pleroma the fullness. It passes through layers of density. The Gnostics called these layers the archonic spheres, the veils of forgetfulness. With each descent, something happens. The soul forgets. It forgets its origin. It forgets its power. But most tragically, it leaves a part of itself behind. Ancient texts describe this as the twin angel, the syzygy, or the higher self. You are walking through this life as only half of yourself. This is the source of that unnameable loneliness you feel, that constant searching for a soulmate or a purpose in the external world. You are trying to fill a cosmic hole with earthly things, but the hole isn't earthly. It's divine. You are grieving a separation you don't remember happening. The bridal chamber is the mystery Jesus taught to heal this fracture. Philip quotes him, "When you make the two one, then you will say to the mountain, 'Move,' and it will move." This isn't poetry. It's mechanics. A divided self is weak. A divided self is easy to control. A divided self lives in fear. But a unified self one that has reintegrated its divine counterparty's sovereign. Philip writes, "If anyone becomes a son of the bridal chamber, he will receive the light. If anyone does not receive it while he is in this place, he will not be able to receive it in the other place." This is the urgency. The union must happen here, while you are in the body. Philip explains that when someone is spiritually alone, are vulnerable to unclean spirits or archonic parasites, but those who have reunited with their angel in the bridal chamber cannot be dominated. The husband and wife are one. The master and the servant are one. The human and the divine are one. This is the Holy of Holies. So, how do we enter this chamber? It is not a physical room you walk into. It is a frequency you tune into. Jesus didn't teach this as a ritual. He taught it as a shift in attention. Philip writes, "The mysteries of truth are revealed only to those who can receive them in the Spirit. The entry key is mirroring." Philip gives us a clue. No one can see themselves in water or in a mirror without light. You cannot see your true self without the light of awareness. The practice is simple, but difficult. Who is watching the thinker? Most people live in the movie of their life. They are the actor running around the screen, reacting to the script. The bridal chamber is the moment you step out of the screen and become the projector. The bride is your earthly awareness, the ego, personality. The bridegroom is your higher self, the spirit monad. The chamber is the silence where they meet. Every time you pause, detach from your reactive emotions, and observe yourself from a place of stillness, you are stepping into the foyer of the chamber. You are inviting the higher self to merge with the lower self. In modern psychological terms, this is the integration of the conscious and unconscious. Carl Jung's in mystical terms, it is the Hieros Gamos sacred marriage. When you stop looking for validation outside, and you turn that attention inward to the silent watcher, the two begin to merge. You stop reacting. You start creating. You stop begging. You start commanding. You stop fearing death, because you realize the part of you that is the bridegroom cannot die. Philip makes a bold claim. He who enters the bridal chamber is no longer a Christian, but a Christ. This is the statement that got the books burned. It implies that the goal of the path is not to worship Jesus, but to become what Jesus became, to embody the same union, to hold the same light. A person who has entered the bridal chamber doesn't need a priest to forgive them. They don't need a church to save them. They carry the kingdom inside their own ribcage. We are living in a time when the bridal chamber is reopening. The divine feminine Sophia is returning to human awareness. The rigid structures of control are cracking. The ancient scrolls are out of the jars. The secrets are on the internet. The gatekeepers are gone, but the work remains yours to do. The Gospel of Philip is not a text you simply read. It is a mirror. It asks you, where are you divided? Where are you waiting for someone else to save you? Where have you abandoned your own divine spark to chase the shadows on the wall? The bridal chamber is not a destination. It is a decision. The decision to stop being a fragment, to stop being half a person. Jesus' final teaching was not about worship. It was about union. He didn't want followers. He wanted peers. He wanted you to find what he found. The door to the chamber is unlocked. The bridegroom is waiting. The only thing missing is you. If this teaching stirred a memory in your blood, if you feel the ache of that separation ending, let us know. Comment below. Make the two one. Seal the intention. Acknowledge the union. And if you want to go deeper into the lost techniques of the Gnostics, subscribe. The path is narrow, but the view from the summit is infinite.